Welcome back, everybody. I am Eric. This is Gary. Today we're smoking the Tatuaje Karloff. We're talking about why the oldest Olympian to win a medal had his medal stripped. We're talking about the brand new Cedar Culture Cigar grading scale and the many uses of raccoon penis. All that and more. We are Cedar Culture.
Kick back and relax, it's time to shoot the shit. Hanging out with the broskies, Gary and Eric. Let the ash go long and the convo stay pure. That's Cedar Culture. That's Cedar Culture. That's Cedar Culture.
Let's bundle these leaves and burn them and suck on them.
All right. Action.
Moistening the stick on a Thursday night doesn't get any better for me. Doesn't get much better for me anymore, buddy.
How long have you been thinking about it? Was that your intended open?
No,
That was a good one.
but that was my opening. So that's what you got.
So do you have you heard about Russell Wilson wanting to leave Seattle, and have you heard about that? Or
I heard
a little bit,
a little bit.
All right, so it's just there's some general unhappiness, and then you know how after OJ was found innocent, he wrote a book. He was like, I didn't kill her, but if I did, this is how I would do it. So Russell Wilson released some statement. He's like, I'm not saying I want to get traded, but if I did, here's the 4 teams I want to go to. Something like that.
You gotta love athletes.
And so, the reason why I'm bringing this up, not because either of us care about Russell Wilson, but we do care about what the Dallas Cowboys do.
That's very true.
And they're one of the 4 or so teams that he named.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's surprising. Who were the other? Do you remember off the top of your head? I guess I'll let you light your cigar.
Yeah, sorry. I think Chicago was one of them, which was a weird one because they're not good, so that was a little confusing. And then I forget 2 others. New England could have been one of them, but I honestly, I'm making that up.
Yeah, I wonder what New England's going to do.
Since obviously we're both NFC East fans, or our teams are each in the NFC East. You're a Giants guy and I'm the Eagles guy. I'm just curious, how that would make you feel as a Giants fan if Russell Wilson was to Dallas.
I wouldn't like to see him on the Cowboys. I can tell you that. I mean, Chicago doesn't make much sense, but they've been trying to
specifically Dallas.
The Dallas,
yeah. Because of the NFC East.
No, I wouldn't like that. Another reason not to like the Cowboys. Another reason to be like, damn Cowboys.
Well, I mean, they would certainly make them better. I mean, they've got incredible receivers. So, but the funny thing is, I got scared when I first thought of it, and then I realized the Eagles are going to be in rebuilding for the next 2 years, so they're not supposed to win anyway. So I don't really care.
But that's the Eagles can capitalize on that and take everybody by storm.
Well, maybe, but I was gonna say then, hopefully if Russell Wilson went to Dallas, then some of their kind of rookie contract players would start kicking in contracts, and I'm just assuming Jerry Jones would fuck it all up, and then it would just be the team would implode from the top kind of thing. So by the time the Eagles are contenders again, but
any news on Prescott and what's going on with his injury and all?
I haven't heard specifically about the injury. I mean, I assume he's supposed to be back for Week 1, but there's been no word about them signing him.
Yeah,
I guess he was franchise tagged last year, so
interesting.
I don't know, but the whole funny thing is they didn't want to pay him all this money that he wanted, but I guess with the franchise tag, there's kind of certain floor set rates, and I think it's something he'd be making $50 million next year or something they'd be paying him so much more than if they had just signed the contract with him. Still, but this would only be for 1 year. But it's just funny because for the 1 year, they'd be paying him way more than they ever
That's crazy.
wanted to. So what do you think of the stick? You've had the stick.
Yes, I've had this. This is, I think, my 3rd Karloff by Tatuaje. Very, very good stick, interesting stick. Complex. I would say this one was one of the first where I was like, wow, a lot of stuff going on in this stick. There's some spice, there's some caramel, there's some sweet, there's some...
And it's funny now you say that. I don't think I've had a stick with a good bit of spice in it for a while. Not that this has a ton, but it's definitely, it's Tatuaje, and I feel like there's a signature zing there.
That's a really good way to say it. I would agree that I think Tatuaje has that undertone. Like you think of, hey, bite, medium to full, probably more towards the full-bodied full flavor. But I'll tell you what, we always talk about cigars and wanting them to be more approachable and learning about the mystique. I think this was one of the first companies where I was like, oh, I had a good couple sticks from Tatuaje. Let me check them out. And you just like go into this vortex of, well, Halloween, they do all these series and there's monsters and skinny monsters and actors and this, which again, awesome. It's just part of the culture and it's part of the,
a little bit.
You start to go, wait, like I remember reading just a little bit for this and like, well, it's the first time they're not doing a monster release for an October. It's going to be just an actor.
It's just an actor, but
he played a monster.
Played a monster, yeah.
Right, so it's like, well, and the box is cool. Like I want to display my box for Halloween. Like I just think it's cool. It's got Boris Karloff's face in his famous, Frankenstein silhouette.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
It is.
My youngest thought it was a panda bear when he first saw the box. He was like, why does that box have a panda bear? I was like, it's Boris Karloff, man. It's badass, dude. It's not a panda. It's a cigar smoking monster.
Dude, so, all right. I actually have, a true fact that I brought in for today. And then I have another fun little fact that developed through my day today.
Okay.
So I'll do the fun one first, which was I texted you a picture earlier. I was on my walk, and there's a dead raccoon in the walkway. But the funny thing is,
where was that in relation to your? Like, were you just starting, or were you like? It wasn't like right by your house.
No, I was actually probably almost at the halfway point.
Okay.
It was in front of somebody's house, and I see all kinds of stuff. Did I send you a picture of the skunk that I walked by when we had a ton of snow? There was a skunk just frozen in the
yeah, and you were like, "How did he just die mid-step?"
Mid-step, but and then all kinds of other little dead rodents and stuff from after the snow.
Just another amazing thing of walks, bud. You get to see this slice of life,
Dude,
Cherry Hill, that
I've
you've never seen.
I think 4 times seen like buzzards or something eating squirrels and pulling them apart, and it's just fun. But no, so the raccoon was dead on the sidewalk, so I had to walk right by it. The funny thing was, at first I noticed, I just kind of took notice how it was dead in a hole, like kind of like I did with that skunk. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like it must have just died of old age. Like it was laying there on its back on the sidewalk with its legs splayed out. I was like, that's just weird. But then as I got closer, I saw that it had one bite out of it, and it was its penis. Its penis was bitten off.
I remember it was in between meetings. I texted you. I was like, I hope someone saw you taking a picture of a dead raccoon's penis. There was a breed of dog that's how they like kill. Like I think Weimaraners, isn't there like a tack move? They like, so maybe it was killed by a dog and bit the penis off.
This I'm actually just building up to the fun fact part.
Okay.
So the reason it was just funny, and how I kind of quickly identified when I walked by that it had bit its dick off, because raccoon penises are actually bony. Like it was a bone, so the dick bone was actually sticking out. And you might ask, well, why do I know what a raccoon dick bone looks like? Good reason.
To be honest, I wouldn't ask that. I'm just like, yeah, of course Eric knows what a raccoon dick bone looks like.
So like, my parents were big into hunting and trapping and stuff, and my mom used to skin like animals and like sell the pelts to the furriers or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is actually a thing. Some hobbyists collect raccoon dicks for toothpicks.
Really?
Yeah, it's a thin little bone that comes to a sharp point, and like kind of people in that kind of outdoorsy culture.
Hey, use all the animals,
use a raccoon dick for a toothpick.
Raccoon dick toothpick.
Yeah, that's a fun little fact for my day. But the actual fact I have is actually really bizarre.
Okay, this wasn't the bizarre part?
No, that was just normal. That was just my day.
Normal Thursday
That's literally
raccoon
just
dick.
my day. That's not even nothing crazy. All right, and I have to look at my notes for this because it's pretty detailed. So, between 1912 and 1948, did you know that the Olympics awarded medals for arts like sculpture and painting?
I knew that, but I didn't know too much more than that.
Okay. Architecture, things like that. So if you were to Google now, like who is the oldest person to ever win an Olympic medal, it would be somebody that's for shooting. But that's only because these medals got erased from history. They don't count. There's actually a dude who is 73 years old. He's actually the oldest person to medal in Olympic history. He's from Britain. It was a silver medal for engraving. But
he also got fourth in the shot put that year.
But in all, when they decided to kind of strike it from Olympic record, there was 151 medalists, just kind of no longer
erased from history.
Kind of terrible. But what's interesting is why they stopped. You might think, oh, they stopped doing art in the Olympics because they wanted it's physical,
more athletics, right?
Or whatever. No. It's because at one point professionals could be in the Olympics, but there was always like a push, and I think now you have to be an amateur. I'm not 100% sure how it works out, but like there was like a push that evolved.
Right.
And so they were a casualty of that because by definition they were artists. They sold their work, so they were a pro at what they do. So they were just all wholesale eliminated from
Well, how does that work?
because they're all pros.
Dream team, professional basketball players.
Well, I think I don't know. That's
Right.
why I said it's not a thing for sure, but I know that was like a push.
Yeah, I remember.
It's a great question.
Well, no, because I remember
forget
amateur
why.
athletics and track and field. Like once
Can
you,
they now? Do they still do dream teams? I don't even know.
I don't
They
know.
still do them.
I don't know.
I don't know if that was an exception. I honestly don't. But you've heard that too, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
but
remember-
that's why Hulk Hogan doesn't go to the Olympics for wrestling. It's always college kids.
Right.
Otherwise,
Brother.
Bret the Hitman Hart would definitely be in the Olympics.
Brutus the Bar Beefcake,
For
Olympic
wrestling.
silver medalist for Greco-Roman
Not
wrestling.
discriminating against pros.
But it's funny because like my son's really big into pro wrestling. He's got like,
Really?
yeah. I want to take him to a couple of like the amateur rounds because
I've
they
done
like do
that.
like Atlantic City and like Gloucester Township.
yeah,
They
I
have
saw
like
Cactus Jack
no way.
in like a high school gymnasium.
Isn't that sad? Have you ever seen the movie The Wrestler? That's what it's like. It's like these guys that are like,
and-
you're
and-
not Hulk Hogan,
But what's
but
interesting is that when I saw Cactus Jack in a high school gymnasium,
I haven't heard that name in 25 years.
well, the funny thing is that was like after he was famous to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
but then he got famous again later. So like when he did the whole Mankind and that was after. So I was
Right.
younger when I saw him in a gymnasium. Like I guess at the end of his Cactus Jack WCW days, and then like maybe he went and hit primetime eventually when he eventually got into WWE. Or F, as it was known
Right.
for us, WWF.
Yeah, I was telling my son like there used to be the '80s cartoon. Remember the wrestling cartoon with? Oh man, that was great. That was great. Who was the character? I'm like, I'm upset at myself that I'm blanking on his name. He was like Iranian
Iron Sheik?
Iron Sheik.
I had a big rubber doll of him.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. I actually met him. He was. Do you remember the Kid Chris show on it was Philadelphia Talk
No.
Radio, like probably 15, 20 years ago. For some reason, he got a cult following from that, and I went to a live thing that 1015 or whoever the station was, and he was there. We got like a signed photo somewhere or something of the Iron
So,
Sheik back in the day.
I have a signing story too from the same event that I saw Cactus Jack at. All right, so do you remember Shawn Michaels was in a tag team?
Yeah,
The Rockers, I think they were, or something like that.
they probably switched names a couple
Or
times,
something.
but yeah.
And really, what happened, if you remember, he turned heel. Shawn Michaels threw his partner through the barbershop window.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And then that's when he went and became the Heartbreak Kid,
Yep.
like Shawn Michaels, like this. And that's
Yeah.
when that was really a big turning point in wrestling, in my opinion. That's when you just started to see things like a lot more glamorized and big, and bigger
Mm-hmm.
characters and stuff. Was that Shawn Michaels, in my opinion? But anyway, his partner. I forget his name. Something Genetti was his partner.
Man.
So I remember him and his brother's name. I forget which is which. So
Right.
he was either Marty or Jimmy Genetti. Mm-hmm. When I went to the gymnasium, the lesser-known brother was there, and I want to say I had Jimmy Genetti's, and it was Marty Genetti. That was his.
Did he say the lesser known genetic brother, like in parentheses?
No, I think I just figured that out like later.
Remember the Bushwhackers?
Dude,
they
they were
licked
the
each other's
best.
heads. I had their. They
were
were
best
one of the
Legion
few
of
I had.
Doom.
Yeah.
Do you remember WrestleMania when Legion of Doom rode out on their motorcycles with gold-plated shoulder pads?
I do. Man, that was like that was Vince McMahon Sr., right? Is that like he Junior had taken over by that point?
Yeah, I mean most of
Because
my
wasn't he was
memory-
like jacked? He was kind of like he would train with them, right?
Vince
was
McMahon?
He? Yeah, wasn't he?
So I feel like when we were younger, he wasn't that jacked, and then I feel like
He
he had
got
steroids. Like
super
as we got
jacked.
older.
Like super
Like,
jacked.
'cause
Like in
and
a
then-
suit. His suit was like a
Yeah.
V, like almost like he was wearing shoulder pads or something. Like legit, not women's shoulder pads, like lacrosse shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looked like he was wearing.
I feel like he did steroids when he got older. Kind of like how nobody wants to talk about it, but The Rock got super fucking jacked at like 40 years old.
Oh yeah.
Like,
But at least he had some level of athleticism. Like, you
oh
know,
yeah,
you know,
no,
like,
like he definitely puts the work in. There's no doubt about that.
yeah. Most guys that were, roid,
You
that's
still got to put the work in.
probably way more work than the non-roiders.
But
You ever come across that? Like, I know you were in the fitness industry a long time, and like just with like
Steroids?
lifting. Yeah, like did you see like?
I know people that have done steroids for sure. I mean, I knew people that did steroids when I was in the Marine Corps because they didn't test for it. It's just So not a lot of people, but I knew a couple.
Yeah.
Like there's one kid who it was tiny, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. But dude, I graduated high school with somebody. Graduated high school at 6'4", 145, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, that's skinny. Mm-hmm. And then by like sophomore year of college, he was like 225, like 80 pounds, and just fucking.
Well, better diet.
And his temper went to shit.
Better diet,
Yeah.
better
I don't
lifting
know why,
program.
but his temper just went to hell.
I'll tell you, man, being around like the track and field in high school and college and the NCAA and then
see
even
it a
like
lot?
lifting. Not that I saw it a lot, but it was rough to like lose to guys that you knew were like saucing, you know?
Really?
And I always got like randomly selected to be tested because my coaches always knew I was like, you know, I made myself a promise. I was like, I'm not gonna, just didn't want to do it. Like if I'm gonna work that hard, I want it to be me.
So was it prevalent to the point where like coaches could kind of pick and choose around who they knew was doing it and stuff? Like,
I guess I say that because I just feel like I was randomly selected a lot.
lot.
If it were any other thing, I'd be like, come on, what's going on here?
Right.
And it's uncomfortable. Like they're really like, the NCAA is like strict. I mean, obviously, but I mean like, you'll go and like provide a urine sample like after the meet, and like they escort you in, escort you out, make sure there's nothing on you. I mean, it's a process, like.
Yeah, I mean, we had to do, piss tests.
I'm surprised they don't test in the Marines for steroids. Like, do they? Not that they.
That's
want
what I
to,
heard is that they didn't. Like I never. It's not like
right,
I
wouldn't
did
be
it
a problem
past.
for you.
Yeah, I heard that they didn't because I know people that did it and were never worried.
Sir, yes, sir.
What was that noise?
The wind, and it's haunted. You're also haunted.
Jesus Christ. Well, I have these headphones on, so I was like, I can't really hear. So, so they did test, but what's interesting is that once you get to a certain rank, you're like eligible to be an observer. Mm-hmm. And that rank is like E4, which you're like 20 years old. So it's not like you really are that responsible. But
I will watch you urinate.
They call it meat gazing.
Is that really what they call it?
Yeah. So you get meat gazing duty.
Is that like in the handbook? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I always think back to A Few Good Men. He was like, can you flip to the page where it shows you where the mess hall is? He's like, oh, it's not in there.
I've only seen that movie once. I need to watch that again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would love your take on it as a Marine.
It's been so long since I've seen it. But that's not really. That's like.
It wasn't a popular movie or anything.
Yeah.
Ever say A Few Good what now?
But
Tom who?
Kind of funny. I've never been to Arlington National Cemetery, and where my sister and her family and I were taking my parents. Like go do a little tour and stuff down there, spend the day, stay the night and everything down there. So I'm
beautiful.
super excited. Like my family is like pretty conservative, like very patriotic and stuff, and I just realized like none of us had been to DC.
Wow.
So we're like,
I will say it's beautiful, and it's like I can only say like your emotions are all flooded. Like my grandparents are buried there because my grandfather on my dad's side served and his wife's buried there. So obviously we go. But then you just look out across all like the field of crosses and monuments and what are those called? Solariums or mausoleums where they are. But you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
So like telling my kids even very young, like all these people like sacrificed their life so that we could be free. It's just. It does kind of hit you, hits you in the feels.
Well, that's what.
It's very real.
That's what we were saying
very
too.
real.
My mom actually said that. She's like, I have a feeling it'll be pretty like, overwhelming. I'm like,
and I guess I was like,
I can't believe we haven't gone.
I guess I was like primed to be emotion because I was going to pay respects to my grandparents, but you start to go, wow, like so this is my tribute to my family. Then look at all those families that sacrifice. It's just like it's a sea of people. It's
I know those kind of things they're pretty humbling in that.
It reminds you.
They're pretty grounding too, though, in that like how fleeting life is. Like, dude, I like when I like to watch a lot of like World War II and movies and stuff, and you see the actors playing, and they're they look like they're about 20 years old, and that's the idea, and you just see them, but the thought that goes through my head is like. I don't know, in that moment watching the movie, more so as probably as I get, just because I get older. Yeah, it's like, that's a life that's never lived. Like, that person, so like, and that person might actually have grandkids, because it's not uncommon, you have a kid at 18, 19, and 20. At 19. So, there's like descendants and grandkids today whose grandfather died, at like 19. It's definitely super sad.
I'm not sure if I brought this up on an episode or not, but I remember watching, I know I brought up Full Metal Jacket, but Saving Private Ryan. I had seen it like 3 or 4 times, so I knew the whole movie. I knew the ending. I knew all the parts. And my grandfather, who was a Marine, served in World War II, was like, I've never seen that. And I had it on DVD. I was like, Pop, we'll throw it in and watch it. And when they got to the part where the older Private Ryan is at the sergeant's grave, and he's like turns to his wife and he's like, "Tell me I'm a good man.
Yeah.
Tell me I led a good life." I lost it.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean like tearing up. I was where my grandfather was like, "Are you okay?" Like I was sobbing.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Man, like if he didn't come back, like
exactly.
none of this would have happened." Like it's just insane to think
I
about.
remember when Saving Private Ryan came out, I told my grandfather, I was like, "You should watch it," and he was like, "I can't." He's like, "I can't watch that stuff." It was, kind of crazy.
And it's funny because my grandfather, like, a great guy, but never spoke about. I mean, basic stories.
Yeah.
The only time, like, we went on a lot of road trips, and I'm so happy we did because I got to hear a lot more because you got time, you're driving through the country. But after that movie, really cool talks, and after Full Metal Jacket, when he was just like, that was the most realistic depiction of boot camp, literally shut it off and then walked away. The conversation over.
Wow.
But those two movies were just, man, it caught me in the feels and it caught him. But I tell you, like, he was like consoling me, and I was just
That's
like,
funny.
I was like, it wasn't tearing, I was sobbing, the little girl sobbing. Just I was
Wow.
like, because I was watching it like with him, and there's this old face like saying, "I lived a good life," and telling me I'm a good man. Whew, got me.
Oh, so real quick.
So moving on from me being a little girl. Wipe my eyes real quick.
I just wanted to mention, so we released our Cedar Culture cigar rating scale today. We'll do a separate video about it, like announcing it and everything, but just wanted to bring it up. Head to cedarculture.com. It's pretty cool. Check it out under quizzes. Put up a rating scale, a way for you to easily keep track and grade your sticks. So that way, a year later when somebody says, "Did you have stick X?" and you remember yes, when they never really asked, "Did you like it?" you can actually say kind of specifically what you thought of it with very little effort, because a lot of the cigar scales are just overly convoluted and complex in our opinion. There's 20 different ways you measure the stick, and they're all on different scales. You're grading one out of 1 to 5, a different thing out of 1 to 10, then you're multiplying that. No, so this one's a lot more simple. So again, check it out, cedarculture.com.
Super user friendly,
Moving on.
awesome tool.
So, okay, in your opinion, who is like a more valuable, impactful neighbor, Mr. Feeney or Wilson?
My answer is going to be biased because my kids are on a Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World, so I see Feeney a lot.
Yeah.
And have you watched any of Girl Meets World? I will go back to the answer, but have you seen any of Girl Meets World?
When it first came out.
Just for the novelty?
And I didn't. It didn't.
Obviously, I'm not sitting there watching it, but seeing my kids experience it, the same stuff. Like, so Corey's a teacher now, and like then, it's time for high school, and they get a petition signed for him to move up to high school. Like, it doesn't even have the teaching credentials. Like, it's so ridiculous. But going back to Feeney, I would just say Feeney because I'm literally watching him hours a day or listening to him, because my kids. It's amazing watching my kids watch shows that I liked and watched. I love that.
So here's how I'll challenge it.
Oh, right? I'm ready.
So Mr. Feeney impacted was something Matthews, Corey Matthews, right? Impacted him.
Don't pretend like you didn't know.
I had the first thing I kept wanting to say Eric Matthews, his older brother. So he impacted him directly. Wilson often gave Tim advice on how to parent his kids. He taught him to fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
He impacted 3 kids. Wilson impacted
you did, but I'm going to tell you,
I just pulled that out of my ass right now.
Feeney, you said taught him to fish.
Yeah.
That was good.
He did, because he then get to go train his 3 kids.
No, he did. Training like it's a dog clicker. Like, no, he didn't do it. But Feeney does that too. And actually, one of the episodes, the mom comes out and she's like, "You never give me advice." And he's like, "I give you advice through your husband and your children and how to blah blah blah." And then I just love that it's Kit's voice. It's just amazing. He's got one of the cool. He sounds like a robot, not on like he doesn't try to make it sound robotic, but he just does.
Yeah. Then the other thing is funny. So we talked a lot about in our last episode about kind of like ideally it would be nice if the government set a goal for coming out of the pandemic.
Right.
Not that this answer
or to let us know at least, to let the public know.
And not that this answer or is a goal, but I think like the next day, I think the president came out and said by the end of May, the goal is to anybody that wants the vaccine can get one. Not the same thing as a goal, because
I sent him a clip. I was like, "Yo, Joe."
Well, no, see, this actually is to that point, because here's the problem. That's great. That would be awesome. but what does it mean? So what would be nice?
How do we quantify it?
What would be nice is if we had an actual goal that said when 50% of Americans are vaccinated, nobody has to wear masks.
Right.
Because if we had that, then everybody would be super excited that everybody can get vaccines.
That's really a good point, and it would jazz up excitement for
what
vaccines.
What does it matter to people that you can get a vaccine now if they're still going to have to live like that goes back to the goal. Like you need to align the citizens on the goal.
A physical representation of the goal of what it would be. And then what are the states that are like, no mask?
Texas, and I want to say Wyoming, but that could be wrong.
And I think a third's on the list to go. Like I just.
Oh, dude! All right, so today I went into Wegmans, the grocery store, and
you're like, no mask.
I went in a different door than I normally go in, and I saw a sign on the door that said, starting April 11th, people will, starting April 11th, the first hour, like from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. is going to be for like immunocompromised people only, or something like that. But when I saw it real quick, I was like, wait, like April 11th, that's oddly in the future. And then because Texas just announced they're fully open, my head immediately went to like, oh shit, maybe there's something coming that we don't know about. Maybe they're going to go to no masks, like, and then they're going to reserve that first hour for immune compromise. That way, like, they don't have to be subjected to people not around masks. And then I texted like a friend, like a group chat in all excitement. I'm like, dude, what does this mean? Is this a sign? Like, why are they telling us a month in advance that you're going to have to, reserve that hour? Like, that just seems like advance notice. It's odd. Like, I had a friend responded. They were like, dude, that sign's been there since last year. That's last April 11th.
You're like, but I just saw it, so it's new to me.
I'm like,
I do remember when they rolled out, like for the elderly and things like that.
No, I know what they did. I just, what happened, so the important part that I didn't say was important, I told you I went in a different door.
Right. So
the door I go in all the time, it doesn't have that sign anymore. Why would it? It's been a year.
Oh, gotcha.
And so it's just this other door.
They're not wasting money on two signs.
So it's just new to me. They just must have never taken the sign off or something like that. Yeah.
The little Ricky, they were like, make sure you put the sign by the door. He's like, yeah, I'm on it. Never did it.
So.
How you liking your Karloff?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, dude. So it's funny, when I first got this box, I had the first one I was kind of like meh about, and I don't think you had one yet at that point. Then I think you had one. You're like, dude, I really like it. Like, I'll take some off your hands if you want. And then at some point I wound up having another one, and I was like, I don't know, I'm coming around on these. And so now I think I've had like almost. I've gone through. I forget how many come in the box.
13.
Was it 13?
Yeah.
So
Spooky
I've
13
gone through
Halloween.
like 6 of them.
Okay. So you got a fair assessment.
And so I think 1 or 2 of those was. So I probably had about 4 of them.
Okay.
Maybe it's like my 4th.
I think this is my 3rd or 4th. But Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. So it wouldn't be the wrapper I would go to if I could pick my perfect cigar. But I'll tell you, man, it works. Nicaraguan filler binder.
I'll go back to that like cigar kind of thing. Like when you look at it, it looks like a stogie in a movie.
Yeah.
It looks like a good ideal cigar. It's good construction.
The band on this
feels good in my hands.
It does. It's a good size too, and they consider this a Churchill, which
it's a little thick.
A little thick, I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought, but that's what it's considered. It's a 6 5/8 by 49. The wrapper threw me off on this. Like,
did it?
The box is just so Karloff, like that face. Like I just expected maybe eyes or something, and then it's
band.
just. I'm sorry. What did I say? The wrapper. I'm sorry. I
just got done saying how beautiful the wrapper is.
My apologies. The band threw me off on this one. Well, the wrapper, like I said, I would go, if I was going to pick, I'd pick something darker. But like I said, it totally works on this blend. But I just expected something more on the band. Like, it's just a white tatuaje with the fleur-de-lis on it. And I was like, huh.
Yeah, I don't love that about what they do. Obviously, in the list of like gripes we have about different marketing things and sticks, this isn't like the most egregious, but it does kind of annoy me. But I get it too when you go look at their sticks in a brick and mortar. A lot of times,
if you didn't see the box,
well, there'll be different one. They use labels like this in some of their other sticks. Their regular sticks, just different colors.
Right.
And so it makes it not seem as special.
Right, because even the monsters that I have had and I think smoked before I even realized what they were, it'll say Monster or Monster Series, or it'll be red and green and
this doesn't count as part of that series.
Right, it's an actor series.
It's different series, but yeah, so it'd be cool if it had like a different label for
just
it,
something.
not just the normal label.
Again, like if
Tell it apart. Make it feel like a little bit more themed. Is that what you're feeling you're missing out on? Like some of the
I don't know.
The like I don't know,
Right.
horror theme in there or something like that. I can get that for sure.
Like I said, it's not. I'm not making it a knock. It just threw me off. Like when I opened, like I was expecting something different. That's all.
No, me too. I
But-
would agree. I definitely would agree.
I think the first time I smoked it, probably like you too, not really knowing what to expect, and went through and I was like, "Ooh, there's some flavors there." But I remember the second one, I was like, "Man, there's some raisin, there's some caramel, there's some leather, there's some." I mean, the spice miles off. Like, I mean, I think we're past the first third or coming close to it, and the pepper kind of miles off, and it's like a leathery. Just good, like you said, a cigar. Tobacco, but is in the forefront, but good. I'm gonna try to retrohale a couple times and see if I can get anything good.
Do you you grew up in Yonkers, right? Is that like suburby or city?
It's like a mix depending on where you are. Yonkers is like I think categorized as one of the hilliest places in New York, which is crazy because a lot of parks and a lot of different things, a lot of bars. But we're really like we should have probably been like the 6th borough. Okay. Like it's like I don't think it meets the criteria of a borough, so it's just a little smaller than like the Bronx or things like that.
So are you part of New York City?
Yeah, like my address was Yonkers. Yeah, New York State, but like New York. Yeah, we're not part of New York. I don't think we're because a borough would be New York, a city in New York. No, because it's not NYC. It's Yonkers, New York. Like that's what the 10705 zip code is Yonkers, New York.
So when you were a kid, for you, were you like more city or more like suburb, like yard or?
We had a little tiny backyard. We were built up on a hill. And if we were going to go play, we would walk down the hill and go to the public park that was like right down the road. So that's where I picked up basketball games, and that's where we played baseball, and there was a community swimming pool and stuff like that.
Did you ever play like tag at night? Mm-hmm. Like, how would you play in the park or
soccer fields? Yeah.
Nice. What would you play? Like, do you remember like what kind of?
It was a real like sports. We had a big Spanish population too, so soccer was like obscenely
tag.
big. Like when we just played tag.
Was there a kind of tag?
Freeze tag.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like freeze tag, jailbreak.
Then there was a game. It must have been sort of like jailbreak. It was almost this hybrid of capture the flag and tag, and we tried to do it like as we were older at night.
It's like kick the can, I think. Like literally, so like you're guarding something, and then the other team has
to but tag was involved, right?
Almost like jail. Though,
it was a team.
They can be freed by. So it's some version of.
It was some bastardization of whatever. So 3 kids probably played one version of the game. And
do your kids know what that game is? Mm-mm. Like, do kids play that stuff today?
You can't play tag in a COVID world, brother.
No, not today.
No, I know what you mean. No, and it's funny, like.
So the answer that's
my kids don't
do kids play tag? What do kids do now?
So I'll tell you, we like if the cousins get together in my in-laws' yard, they have like an acre and a half. They'll play different things, but they'll do tag, but it's more like push you over and then run and push you over. Like there's no
it's flirting
tag. Yeah, hopefully not if they're cousins. we talked about that earlier.
You're a lot more open to it than before the camera was on.
Hey. But then like the trampoline's big, like in my sister-in-law's house, and obviously when the weather's permitting, the pool.
What about like in the neighborhood? Are there neighborhood kids?
In my neighborhood, they ride bikes. Oddly enough, they like taking walks, like. So really? Like, and I don't know if it's more COVID appropriate, but like my kids were like, "Can we take the dog on a walk around the block?" And I'm like, "Yeah, have your phone." Like it's weird, like it's this crazy world. Where I'm like, "Yeah, make sure you have your phone. Make sure you have a poop bag for the dog." Yeah. But I will say, when I moved to Atco, I did think it really felt like Yonkers. It had that like blue collar working class feel to it. I will pride myself in saying that. Summertime, as the weather's getting nice, you start to see bikes on lawns, like you know where the kids are. Yeah. So like I'll drive home from work and I'll know if the neighbor kids are at our house playing because like there's 2 or 3 bikes in our yard. And I don't know that you see, like I don't know, do you see that like here?
Well, actually.
But you have a good neighborhood for that too, like a good block for that.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because, being at home now all the time, but even being home all the time.
Creepily looking out the window at your standing desk.
Well, normally, no, yeah, like even though being home for a year, it's not like I was looking out the window all day, but now I bought a standing desk and I put it up to a window. So yeah, I get to look outside. And I'm shocked at how many kids are in this neighborhood and they play. They actually, and I think it's more, because I even noticed it last summer and stuff on weekends, kids out more, just I think because of COVID and stuff, which is probably good. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that'll stick though, once they're allowed back indoors with friends. But I just have noticed in general, Like so many weird things. Like just looking out the window all day now. I was there at my standing desk, and the mail truck pulls up. The mailman actually, like, he pulls his truck up to the mailbox that's on the street. Normally, he would just reach in, put the mail in, and keep going. He reaches in, puts the mail in. Then I see him shut the car off and disappear, like go into the back of his truck. And I was like, what is he doing? Is he getting a package for me? Because he's in front of my house, you know? And then
Cigar mail call?
I see the back of his truck open up, and I see him dumping out a soda bottle with the yellow liquid.
Stop. You caught the mailman?
I caught the mailman pissing in the back.
Pissing and draining?
Pissing in the back of his mail truck. And then, but the weird thing about that, besides that, like seeing your mailman piss in front of your house, I used to work.
Penis necklace.
I used to work 2 blocks from my house.
Right.
And there's a bathroom in there that same mailman used to use daily to drop a deuce.
No way.
So why are you peeing in the back of your truck? That's still got to be on his route. It's still 2 blocks away. I don't know. But anyway, it was still kind of fun. Yeah, it was fun. Like, just seeing all these different things.
We need to have a new segment. What did Eric see?
Well, even going to when the pandemic started, I heard somebody on the radio, they said they worked in like the vet industry. And they said there's just a huge spike of animals coming in when COVID hit, of people saying, something's wrong with my dog. They just lay there all day. And the vet's like, yeah, that's what your dog does
when you're
at work.
Yeah.
Like, you're intruding. Bring your dog home. It wants to sleep.
No, 100%. We joke all the time. Like, I mean, my dog's getting up there, but he'll be 11. He's a Beagle Basset. He'll wake up from a full night's sleep, eat a little bit, and then jump on the couch for his late morning 3-hour nap. And he's like, the kids are still home? Man, get them out of here. Shut that TV off. I want to sleep. My next life, I want to be a dog. What would you be if you could come back as an animal?
If I could come a sloth?
Yeah?
I think so.
Part of me would be a bird. Imagine like
low
just soaring.
Expectations on a sloth. Right? It's got to be pretty chill.
I hope so. And
I don't know what their predators.
Well, you're not getting away very quickly.
I was gonna say, how are all sloths not dead? Do they not have predators? I guess because you can't outrun them.
No, you can't do anything.
You cannot fight them.
Even you know what I noticed? Have you been to when's the last time you went to a zoo?
Does everybody pity the sloth? A few years.
The sloth enclosure, it's just like there. It's just sitting there. Like they know it's not going to leave, and it's got like a thing it can like kind of hang on, and then he falls off of it and rolls around. I'm like, you could literally, I could be like, I touched the sloth today. Like it's there. It's just
they're not like behind in a cage?
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's funny.
The Philadelphia Zoo, I don't think they were.
That's really funny.
I chaperoned my son's class trip.
Did you?
Yeah.
To the zoo?
2 years ago. Yeah, they didn't do class trips last year.
What grade was that?
So he's in 5th, so it was his third grade field trip to the Philadelphia Zoo. Dude, that was nuts, bringing a bus full of like 3rd graders to the zoo.
Well, I was just thinking, and I'm trying to think back, I think our zoo trip was 5th grade when I went when I was a kid.
Well, the kids are more sophisticated now. They can handle the...
They can handle a zoo a little younger these days.
I held a pigeon. Like they did like this pigeon training thing, and I was selected. I was also like 420 pounds at the time, like so just sitting there. They were like, "Hey, big guy, you come up here." I think they wanted me to be afraid because it is weird. Like the birds come at you.
I went to the zoo with friends probably about 15 years ago, and by the kangaroos, there was a small kangaroo trying to mount a bigger kangaroo. And so it was just like trying to go, and it can't reach. It's like kind of trying to hop up, but it's not like nothing's happening.
You're like, I feel you, brother.
And so everybody's just standing there laughing, like smiling and laughing, right? And then and then the zookeeper was actually in there cleaning up the cage, and she starts laughing or whatever. And I was like, don't laugh. Get him a step stool and a 6-pack of Red Bull. The guy needs some help. Everybody just starts dying.
Red Bull gives you wings, brother.
Give him a step stool and a 6-pack of Red Bull. Come on, help the guy out.
I don't know why. Anytime we go to, have you been to the Cape May Zoo?
No. I mean, maybe when I was little. I don't know.
There's this bridge that goes over some water. I always catch turtles having like loud, crazy turtle sex. It's insane. My son was like, "What are they doing?" I was like, "I don't know."
I learned another fun fact actually. Just like so part of this I knew. Did you know? I might have told you. I might have even brought up an episode. I have no idea. But so the Righteous Brothers, the group, right? You know the guy with the deep voice in there? His name is Bill Medley, who was on that song with Jennifer Warnes for Dirty Dancing.
Really?
Same guy.
No way.
Isn't that weird? When I found that out, I was like, I don't know why. I was just, they seem like, I mean, and they are two different eras. They're like 20 years apart. Well, I mean, 20 years isn't like insane apart, but for some reason, and we talk about this with time, like
when you're
2000 and 2020 doesn't seem that far apart. 1960 and 1980 feels like centuries apart.
But I think it's because of perception, because we were a lot, like we lived
history.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to admit that you're old. So like the time that you're alive. But anyway, and then I learned something else. So the song, You Lost That Loving Feeling, is a Righteous Brothers song. Other people have covered it. According to Broadcast Music Inc., You've Lost That Loving Feeling is the most played song on broadcast radio history.
Wow. That's got to be, I hate to be the intern that had to like investigate that. Go through 80 years of history.
Yeah, but kind of interesting. So like this guy, to me, the Righteous Brothers were always two nameless people, right? And then to like find out that they have that, and then the guy went, it's pretty impressive.
I remember my my grandfather had like one of those CD or tape collections from when like his music era, from like the 30s and 40s, and I'm like, man, those like crazy big band songs, that's going to be coming up on 100 years ago.
Wow.
Like that's. Like you think of 100 years, you're like, oh, no, electricity, know this. Like they were
when we were kids
playing music
on MTV for like that style of orchestra music kind of thing. Like it had its little heyday, its little comeback. Do you remember that?
That like big band ska. It came after like ska,
a little after
punk
ska,
and then it was like
some of that Zoot Suit Riot, Cherry Poppin' Daddies, then the Stray Cats strut.
Stray Cats
whatever,
was big,
like, all that
and
stuff,
then Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Yeah,
remember that?
So
Hell.
So that stuff. But I remember like when that had its little heyday, and I'm like enjoying it. My mom was like, that's the stuff your grandparents used to dance to. And I was like, what? And she was like, that's the music that was pop music.
It was.
She's like, that's the stuff.
That's the stuff their parents were like, that's not music. Beethoven
Well, actually, I think
music.
what it was, I was watching on MTV and people were dancing, and she was like,
and it was swing.
She was like that swing. Yeah, that's what I was like. I couldn't remember the word. She's like, that's how your grandparents used to dance. I was like, what?
Crazy.
It is.
That's
crazy.
when they like. I look at pictures. Remember when they dressed up to go on an airplane? Like, I mean, it was like suits and a hat, and like, the women were dresses and
everybody clapped when
smoked cigarettes.
Everybody clapped when they landed.
Well, they didn't know.
Now Europeans still do that.
I didn't
know
know
that.
A lot
of times, yeah. It's kind of weird.
It scares me. Like,
you're not used
clapping.
to it.
Yeah.
Well, all right, bud. We are by no means almost done the stick, but it's time to wrap up this episode here, and we can finish the stick up together while we're cleaning up.
Sounds good, brother.
As always, my friend, long ashes.
Stay smoky, everybody.
Thanks for checking out the Cedar Culture Podcast. If you'd like that episode, go ahead, tap, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on your platform of choice. And if you are on YouTube, hit that bell as well to be notified of new episodes. It really helps us out. We appreciate it.
And then don't forget to head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow us as well.
Do it.
Do it.